Hi everyone, it's Ardith, and today I have a fun rainbow card using some Altenew dies and a stencil to add the look of some texture. I started by creating the base rainbow layer of my card front. I used my Catherine Pooler mini ink pads and simply swiped them across a panel of white cardstock in rainbow order. These ink pads are about an inch wide and they're the perfect way to get bold, vibrant color down quickly. I overlapped them a bit so the panel would be fully covered with no white spots, and that created some more colors in my rainbow. You could use ink blending for this step if you prefer a smoother look, but I wasn't too worried about the harsh lines between the colors, because I'll be adding 3 layers of stenciling on top, and that'll help to soften it all up. If you don't have many ink pads, you could mask your panel and use larger ink pads to create the stripes. I set the panel aside to dry a bit, and I cleaned up my waffle flower water media mat with a baby wipe before the next step. I've got my ink blenders lined up and ready to go, and I just need to use some purple tape to adhere the panel to the stencil from the back. Hey, did you catch my craft room tour video earlier this week? I've put a link to it up in the top right corner if you want to check it out. It's full of tips for craft storage, including how I store these ink blenders with my ink refills. Then I started blending the same colors of ink through the stencil, starting with Party Dress at the top and moving into Coral Cabana and so on. I didn't worry about keeping each color just where the color was on the panel, except for that green. I tried to keep it away from the yellow so I didn't lose the yellow altogether. Blending the same color through the stencil adds a subtle layer of texture and dimension to the panel. This gives the card more interest without really adding too much busyness to it. But wait, there's more. I lifted the stencil and replaced it so that the circles on the stencil are offset from the ones I've already blended onto the panel. And then I started the ink blending again. Again, I was careful not to contaminate the yellow with the green, but the rest of the colors are getting blended really nicely. I especially love how that Coral Cabana and Limoncello combination gives a nice bright orange, and the deep blue that results from the Fiesta Blue and Flirty Fuchsia. Once I worked my way down to the purple, I had to move the stencil down before I finished the pink at the bottom so that I wouldn't get the edge of the stencil into my pattern. Looking at it now, I kind of wish I had stopped here. I'm seeing almost a floral pattern with those bright centers, but I lined up the stencil one more time and I went through the same blending process again. Then I trimmed the panel down to 3 3/4 by 5 inches, and I glued it to a white card base using a tape runner and the grid on my Make Art station to get it straight. I used the Altenew bold alphabet dies to cut HE double hockey sticks to form most of my hello sentiment. And then I used the large flower die from Folksy Florals along with the circle die to create a flower-shaped O. Before I started lining them up for real, I just wanted to say that I'm positioning them over the yellow strip on my rainbow panel, and that's because in the end, it's the least blended area. I didn't want to lose the yellow to that green, but this is an easy way to hide the fact that it's my least favorite part of the rainbow blend. And here's why I love this metal work surface. The magnetic ruler lets you kind of set it and forget it as far as getting a straight line to line up the letters, which extend over the panel to the edges of the white card base. I started the gluing with the L's and the E using liquid glue, and then for the H, I added a narrow strip of black cardstock to the back of it, where it goes over the edge of the rainbow panel and needs some extra support. I used foam tape to pop up the flower O to add a little more dimension and interest to the card. And finally, to add some sparkle, I placed 3 Marigold jewels from Pretty Pink Posh in the flower center, using a jewel picker and the same Nuvo Deluxe Adhesive liquid glue. I hope you enjoyed this video. This simple layered stencil technique added a lot of dimension and interest to this card without ever distracting from the rainbow or the sentiment. Supplies are listed below in the description, and I've also put a link to my craft room tour in case you're interested. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.